So Matthew, good morning. I'm wondering if you could begin recording this meeting. Okay, thank you. Okay, hi, welcome everyone. I'm Catherine Sum. I'm the chair of the State Advisory Council for Special Education Membership Committee, and I'd like to call this meeting to order at 11:02 a.m. And I'd like to check and see if we have any members from the public joining us today.
We do not.
Okay, all right. So we will move on from public comment to membership matters. So we have a few things on the agenda, but the most important is the membership survey applications we have received, and they keep pouring in, folks. I wish I could say we had one from a student. So I'm going to ask you to continue to encourage students to apply. But in terms of adults, if I counted correctly, we have 6 applications to review. Hopefully you all got them. I know some came in. It wasn't just a regular attachment. It was an email attachment that Jolie sent. So those were the applications that we started to review at the last meeting. And I just want to,
yeah,
you've got 7. Okay. You got 7. So I have missed someone on my list. I thought I was taking copious notes. But I just want to check that I'm adhering to protocol regarding confidentiality and privacy, because before I start reading off the names of the candidates, should I make a motion to go into executive session so that we can discuss the applications while at the same time maintaining the privacy of the applicants? Yes, okay. And yes. I don't know, can I actually make that motion, or does someone else have to make that motion?
I'll make the motion that we go into executive session.
Thank you, Jen.
Okay, thank you, Jen. And Denise, you're seconding? Okay, thank you. Okay, so, and we've got Lou joining us. Thank you, Lou. So Matt, can you stop recording so that we can go into executive session? Of executive session now. And would someone?
So I would like to make a motion considering our candidates, candidate A for position as a family member for SAC. I don't know. I forgot what I said.
That worked.
Great. Anyone like to
second the motion? Lewis.
Thank you, Lewis. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No? Okay, great. Okay, would anyone like to make a motion that pending clarification on whether or not candidate B qualifies as an adult candidate with a disability or a student representative, like to make a motion to nominate candidate B as the backup for the parent or adult role, or for the student representative role, if what I said just made sense.
Yep.
I make a motion for what Catherine just said.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Denise, for seconding it. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. Fantastic. Okay, great. This was a big accomplishment here.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. So moving through the agenda now. Okay, current membership survey. So I know that we do have some questions about our survey. We want to make sure that the questions we're asking truly reflect and represent applicants who come from throughout the state of Connecticut. And I know as of late, we just haven't been sure that we've really been able to capture that. So I know that we've talked about the possibility of editing and revising the application. And Brian Smith wasn't able to join us today, but he shared with us the application form for the State Rehab Council to the Bureau of Rehabilitation Services. And that has some additional information on it. If we want to consider adding any of that to our form, or if anyone has any ideas on how we can just improve the one we have. And I don't know, do people need time to look at it?
I think it's pretty clear, but obviously we found a problem because we just aren't sure if somebody's a student or. Yeah.
You know, you're right about that.
I'm also wondering, is there information that we're not allowed to ask on that, but you know,
Okay.
So it sounds like
Yeah.
we need a little bit more information before revising, and maybe we can get a clear list. I'm assuming that our application as it is now has the bare minimum of what we need to
Yeah.
have as far
Right.
as an application. We picked up the thing where we don't know, like maybe we should have definitions, like if you are currently enrolled in high school or a transition program up to age 22 receiving special education services, you qualify as a student. If you are this, you are an adult with a disability, something like that. So there's clarification.
Yeah. Making a note of this.
And Brian's application, he said, had wording that related to time, how much time this takes. Like, are you available to do?
Yeah.
Mm.
Maybe
know
I was wondering, can we have a checkbox? Can we do a checkbox on there? I am willing to commit to attending the meetings and say like the amount of time or something like that. Something that's clear that you can't just sign up and not come to any of the meetings.
I know in our bylaws, you have to come to a certain percentage of meetings or
Yeah,
But just
with our
to be
state task
upfront.
force meeting and stuff, we have that too.
be. maybe-
Members need to
Yeah, and it
do,
should. Yeah,
Okay.
we should say, the statement kind of, Jen, you should add to it, like, please look at our meeting schedule and know that there's also a summer orientation, all day orientation, and then put the checkbox in.
Okay.
And then I think Brian, he has something about committees, like, are you going to be able to also, in addition, are you able to serve on a committee?
Yeah.
Not everybody does,
But not everybody does.
it would be
that-
great.
You know, that not everybody does. So that's
Right. 'Tis a dream.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Where else have we had incurred miscommunications or confusion? Because I think that would be the most helpful thing.
Yeah, I think definitely we need to clarify. Like, I think if it's clear from the start what the approximate time commitment is going to be, I think that's going to be really helpful for people. And I definitely think after this last round of applications, making it clear what the definition of a parent or an adult with a disability is versus the definition of a student representative will be really helpful. I'm trying to see what else I may have marked on Brian's.
So we have picked up on some other like representations because we've known applicants or because they disclosed it, you know, so I think like
Yeah.
I would like a question about like, do you have, I don't know how to word it, but like, I would like to identify adoptive families who
Oh.
have students, who might be in a RESC or an outplacement. Like, I guess like what kind of school does your student attend? So we can make sure that we have representation. I know it can change throughout the child's, you know, lifespan. But I think it is important to have those viewpoints represented.
Yes.
And Lewis,
I agree.
Lewis, yeah, and right, and Lewis, would you think that would be a good checkbox because of what your representation? And incarceration besides McKinney-Vento. No one knows.
I don't know if, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, people don't tend to be, you know, comfortable with disclosing their housing circumstances. So I think it'd probably be left on,
Okay.
you know, I mean, I don't think it's something that
And they
somebody
wouldn't
could
disclose
certainly
incarceration
identify,
either.
but I think just kind of presenting it, people would probably likely
Okay.
tend not to. Maybe you could ask like other special circumstances that you might consider, you know what I mean? Like other, but I think you kind of already asked that question anyways, you know, around their particular family circumstances that they may like, you know, choose to disclose.
Right, and we
No,
keep
you
everything
actually-
private.
Are they,
Yeah, I think
are they in like programs or something to that effect? Is that what the question is?
No. So I think Susan was adding the piece about homelessness, right? Like for the McKinney-Vento families. I was talking more about what placement the student is in. Representation from families who have children in public school, in an outplacement, such as a RESC or an APSEP. But it's not like super important, but that would just be something I'd be curious to know.
Well, could we put a blurb in there that says, you know, we're always looking for representation around types of schools, If you'd like to volunteer this information, please share.
Yeah.
And that way it's not mandated, but if they are, you know, adopted children or whatever those pieces are, they can volunteer if they so choose, but it's definitely not mandated that you answer. So.
I like
And
how you said that.
That's really good, Missy.
Yeah.
And some people put a resume and some people didn't, like an advocacy resume. But
Well, and that's another thing. Do we want to tell people that including a resume is optional, or
It already says that and nobody
it does?
notices it? Like very
Okay,
few
I didn't
people
even notice.
notice it.
Yeah.
And I know that was a concern that people have shared in the past. So it's either maybe we need to highlight that people can add that, or give enough space at the bottom for people to fill out any other information they think is relevant to their participation on the council. Because it might just be schooling, it might be job, it might be a volunteer thing, and maybe not necessarily, they might not necessarily have a resume. So I wouldn't want to put that burden on people to do that. So maybe just thinking about the information we're asking for.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I think that's a good idea. I noticed on the form Brian shared that they have a line name of nominator if different than nominee. Do we want to have that option to have a nominator, or just leave it as it is so anyone can apply? I know sometimes we have questions where we don't know anything about an applicant, which is fine because, you know, if you're interviewing for a job as well, you know, if you're the interviewer, you don't typically know anything about the interviewee. But I want to make sure that everyone also has a fair chance. So say you don't already know someone on the SAC and you're interested in joining the SAC, I would just want to make sure that everyone has a fair chance. And if they want to learn more, see if there's someone on the SAC who they can talk to, who would be willing to maybe be the reference or a nominator for them, that they have that, or do we just not want to consider that?
So I had to fill out the governor's application, which is really, really extensive for my parent position. And they ask you for references on there. So it doesn't necessarily need to be that they're being sponsored or whatever word you said as a member,
like,
you know,
or
nominated.
nominated.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But that they have a reference. So if it happens to be somebody on the SAC, then you would call them.
Okay.
And if somebody didn't have somebody on the SAC, you would still have two people that could provide a reference.
Okay. So do we want to include that, or space for a reference?
Okay.
You're muted, Susan.
You knew I just said squirrels, right? So I'm going over the application that was shared with us, and I don't see that anything, but
on the one Brian sent, it's on the first page. If you go under name of nominee, their work telephone, and then underneath work telephone, it says name of nominator.
Okay, good. Yeah, so we already have the wording.
Yeah. Or do you just want to list name of list one reference?
Yeah, I mean, I would understand if there was a reference. I wouldn't understand if it says name of nominator. I mean, you know, if I knew of someone that might be interested and I contacted them and said, oh, we have a position open, you might be interested, then I would consider myself a nominator because so they might put my name. But I'm not sure everybody would understand what that means in our relationship there. But if they want to provide a reference,
Yeah.
And I think we should check with Brian because I don't know.
A lot of people may not know. I mean, people might find out about it and be interested, and they may not have someone to nominate them.
Okay.
That might throw you off.
Right. So then it might be counterproductive, Denise, because, the whole point is to, we don't want anyone to feel intimidated to apply. So you think that this could actually eliminate potential people. Okay. All right. Cross that off.
I might think, oh, well, I don't have anybody to nominate me. So.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. All right. So we can scratch
Then I was
that.
thinking too, maybe I know on ours, we have something, area of expertise so that it stands out right away. So it could be autism, whatever, ADHD, whatever the disability might be, maybe just something to fill it in to just highlight that. So, right away when you're, looking through the application that this is their area of expertise.
And maybe expertise is not the word. Maybe, I don't know, maybe something a little more generic, like what unique perspectives do you represent, for example, and then put some things in parentheses. Because again, expertise, what I might think is my expertise.
Yeah.
Another parent might not recognize that in themselves and not report it as something, or people might say that they have expertise in something that they really don't.
Yeah, that's true.
I like how the Brian's application says list organizations we held leadership positions and your accomplishments while in those positions.
Yes.
What do you guys think about that? I'm just looking at theirs, maybe because it's such a print I can read it.
And then also the another one is, have you ever done legislative advocacy?
Yeah.
If so, please, so
like,
would we want to maybe then include those two questions?
Yeah.
I think Yeah, it's great to have the information, but it won't, if you don't
It won't.
haven't done that, it won't dissuade us from whether or
Mhm.
not.
Right. Okay.
I think the leadership position one is good
Is more-
because we're asking them to come into a leadership position. And so if they've had other experience, I think that would just be helpful for us. I don't know about the legislative advocacy piece. I think
Okay.
that would be cool, but I don't, I mean,
Okay.
that could come out once they come in. They could be part
Yeah.
of our legislative committee, right?
Yeah. Okay.
But
I'm gonna let Catherine write all this down. And then that question your application for appointment
Sorry,
to this.
You
I
group.
couldn't,
Are you gonna get, the-
I
can you get the
couldn't
time
hear
off?
you for a minute.
On their application, it says, if you are employed, does your supervisor support your application for appointment to the SAC? Like, can you get the time off? And we've had that problem before with
Oh,
different
yeah.
education positions where like they wanted to be on it, but they couldn't
Mhm.
get the time off because there was no one to fill in for the substitute position. What do you think, Jen? Because I can see your brain.
I'm just, so as we're asking these questions, I also want to keep in mind what we're not asking the professionals to provide. So the people, like you were speaking of, like the people who, like we have teachers and paras on, like they're coming on as their professional role, and we're not asking them, hey, do you have permission from your boss necessarily, except for the people who are appointed by, literally appointed by their boss. So I don't like disagree with saying that, like that is important information to know, I think, but I also, I just don't want to put extra burdens on families that we're not putting on the professional roles at the table, if that makes sense.
But then we're also asking about your time commitment, so that
Yeah.
might take care of
So
it
we don't
right
need to
there.
ask twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. And I will
And
say,
that should be on any application, whether you're applying for a paraeducator, it should be on any of them, right?
They don't,
The
well,
same- the same
not
thing.
everybody fills out an application.
but I think if you do get a recommendation or an appointment letter from your employer, the expectation is that you are going to participate. And I do know that in the recent past, when there are some professionals who have joined, they have explained that they will get the release time. I know it wasn't, it wasn't on the application form or anything like that, but that was information they actually did share. They did say that, my employer will give me release time to attend the meetings.
Right.
But if we are going to add a question about, do you have time to attend?
So I have another question. So
Yeah.
we add to our list of questions.
Yeah.
Are we going to have to do like a draft application, and then are we going to need, like, I don't know if it would be like CSCE's legal department to look at it before we're able to use it? I guess so we need to find out that information as well.
Brian would have to approve it, correct?
Yeah, because the other Brian that we're looking at, it has the final statement is, I understand that we meet this many times a year. That might almost be easier then. And like check that box off. Like, I understand we have this many
Oh,
meetings,
yeah, the statement of commitment.
I like that.
instead
Yeah.
of saying your time commitment.
Mhm.
Just saying, yeah, oh, I know you guys do all this. So that people, because parents might be applying, but really don't have a concept of how much time it takes.
Right. Right. Okay.
And that
And
would
speaking
probably
of time, I have to hop off in 2 minutes just to give you a warning.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. All right, that's good. Okay. Yeah, so what I can, oh yeah, oh wow, we've really been
Thank you,
talking here.
Catherine.
So what I can do is type up our ideas. I'm doing like double time here today. We're doing a full day in service. So I may not be able to get this typed today, because then I have
It
a
doesn't
work
need to be
training this
done
evening. Okay,
today.
thanks, guys. Okay, good. All right. And so I'll get this done as soon as I can. We did not get to the third item on the agenda, which is the legislative flyer.
Oh,
Yeah. I think it's, so if you can all take a look at that, we can look at that at our next meeting. Do we still have 4 openings, or are we down to, it is still 4, or are we down to 3? No.
Jolie, you keep in touch with everyone, right? It's still 4, I think,
Okay.
because we have 5 slots, right?
Yeah,
And
and we
one-
only have 1 taken. You're right. Yeah.
For representatives, state representatives.
Yeah.
Yep, we have 4.
Okay.
We have only Comey with us.
We just heard it. Okay. All right. So we can table this, but in your spare time, if you want to take a look at it, see if there's anything that we may need to tweak or revise. Otherwise, I think if this needs to go out sooner rather than later, I think it looks okay, but it's always good to come back to documents and see if there's any editing that we can do. Just, because times change and needs change too. So, okay.
Sure.
Anyone have anything else? No? Okay. So would anyone like to make a motion to end the meeting?
So moved.
Thanks, Denise, for seconding. All in favor, aye. All
Aye.
right, great. Well, we're ending at 11:58. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
As always, we get a lot done. All right. Talk to you soon.
Oh my God, that was.